Veggie broth prep. And how's it going, YouTube? So let's try to get this angled up for the phone so you can see me. Excellent. So welcome everyone. It's day 7. I am currently, let's check the time, 18 minutes away from being able to eat. So I wanted to prep this veggie broth really quick. Now, we're actually making veggie pho, so I got to specify that. Now, the coolest thing about this is we're going to be utilizing some zoodles. So if you don't know what zoodles are, it's just zucchini noodles. I can show you some of the ones that I've prepped already. So one of the differences between my method and most is that I actually like to kind of let the zucchini noodles sweat a little bit. So I'll throw them in the oven at 400 degrees for like not even 5 minutes. It's really until you start to smell them and hear and see them sweat. Really, they're going to start to reduce. And the reason why I do that is because they last a lot longer, and they keep their actual shape and sturdiness while you have them in hot liquid. And if you don't do this, as a heads up, they just fall apart and it'll get really mushy. So one of the things that we're going to do is I'm going to try my best to show you guys what I'm doing as I'm doing this. I'm sitting down in the kitchen because I'm going to be honest with you. This day 7, I was feeling a little sluggish. I mean, it wasn't like I still had a lot of energy throughout the day, but it was like my pacing for everything slowed down. I kind of felt like an elderly person. I was going very slow, but I was still doing everything. So what we're actually going to start off with is we're going to start off with some onion. But before I add that, I'm going to add a teaspoon of chili oil. And then from here, I'm going to add a half teaspoon of sesame oil. Now, I'm using the Instapot today, so if it's a little noisy, I do apologize. The simmering is really efficient. That's one of the reasons why I like to use it for the first part of the broth, just because this is going to give you a nice depth to flavor for your pho. So we're going to start it off with that onion. Just toss all that stuff in, and really just going to keep cooking this until it browns up. Really want to try to caramelize these the best you can. And as you can see on this plate, the rest of the stuff that we're actually going to throw in there is going to be about 3 stalks of celery, I believe, kind of like the leftover nubs from when you spiralize your zucchini, a green bell pepper, about 4 shiitake mushrooms, like 10 cloves of garlic, because I love that garlic, and about a thumb's, like honestly, like my thumb size or about your thumb size worth of grated ginger. Now, again, this aspect of doing veggie broth and veggie pho like this is just going to add a nice depth of flavor. I'm going to move this away so it's not as loud for you guys. But overall, while this is cooking, I'm just going to give you some updates and kind of how my water fast went. So when I look at my total sheet, apparently I couldn't do math on day 2. Or day 3 technically, because I lost 3 pounds on November from like the 2nd to the 3rd. So my total weight loss this fast was 14 pounds. I honestly didn't think I had that much to lose. I was expecting more 10. The 1 was getting consistent on day 4 and 5, but then day 6 and 7, obviously, when I woke up today, it was like 2 pounds, 3 pounds. So it was pretty shocking in that sense. Now, the coolest thing about this fast is that I didn't have any salt. That's something that I haven't done before in my previous fast, so that was actually kind of surprising. I'm pretty shocked with that. But the coolest thing about that is I noticed I felt a whole lot better throughout the fast. And what I mean by better is, yeah, you still have your sluggish days. Yeah, you still have your moments of just kind of being a little tired, having to take a siesta. But in terms of just kind of like the rockiness of it, I felt like when I had salt, I was just throwing off what my body was kind of naturally trying to do. So that's something that I've found very interesting. And honestly, I'm a huge fan of just the solely H2O distilled water fast. Now, to keep in spirit of the kind of fasting method, I am going to be using distilled water for the veggie pho. So that's kind of something important to recognize, is that you just don't want to go right back into tap water and stuff like that. We have a lot of chemicals in our tap water. Like, there's zero reason why we have fluoride in our water. There's no modern study that supports ingesting fluoride in a liquid form does anything for you. It only really does anything if it's applied directly to your teeth. In most effects, it actually has very adverse effects when we ingest it. So I don't drink tap water. I filters for that. But the coolest thing about this fast thus far I found was I didn't really lose much muscle mass. I was rather shocked with that. Usually I did before. How's it going, people on Instagram? But I'd say if anything, like maybe a half a centimeter, if that, across. The most part that I noticed the difference was across my chest. And then yeah, the little love handles and things like that. But man, this fast was really, really, really enlightening. That's a good way to put it. I definitely noticed a lot of separation between the physical attachment and just kind of establishing yourself as the observer. But I would say it was transformative nonetheless. I feel like every fast is unique and it offers that opportunity just to really transform your life. Ooh, love it. So these are almost browned up. And once it hits 7 o'clock, I might give myself a little fruit treat. I got some kiwis today, along with a little personal watermelon, but I think the kiwi is going to be the most efficient in terms of fruit with the most nutritional value that I can kind of have right now. So I'm just going to kind of pick one of these guys out. Ooh, that one feels soft. Juicy. Oh my gosh. If you guys could feel the feels that I have right now. It's one of those things where while my wife was eating dinner this week, I was like, hey, let me just like smell your bowl. And honestly, that worked. It was trippy. So I did that like, believe yesterday and the day before that, I was just wafting her plate a little bit, and that satisfied the body enough because mentally, you know, when I go into a fast, I mentally prepare saying, hey, you're not gonna eat until that 7 days is up, a full 168 hours of not eating. And because of that, it works. But now that I know I can eat, like, whoo, I'm getting like butterflies a little bit. It's just really exciting. You know what I mean? It's again, when you haven't eaten for so long, you really just get humbled with the experience of eating and just realize how lucky we are to have food. Like I have 3 grocery stores I could go to within a few minutes. Like it's just one of those things where you don't realize how good you have it until you don't have it, right? And again, I'm in a privileged position where I water fast by choice. And that's something that a lot of people really don't get to have. And honestly, there's still a lot of people in our world that don't have water. So I think the water fast experience is always just a really good opportunity to kind of put you in a global sense of awareness to how a lot of people live their lives. And if you struggled with a few days or like 1 day or 2 days, just let that be the reminder to be like, hey, you know, I don't have it that bad. Like this is by choice. So other than that, ooh, these are browned up. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to add in the rest of these flavor additions. So again, it's 1 green bell pepper, like 3-4 stalks of celery, because some of them are kind of small. So I added a few more. That thumb size of ginger, leftover zoodle stuff, and that garlic and shiitake. So that's all set. Now, the coolest thing about this is once this stuff cooks down, you're pretty much ready to add everything else. So I'm going to, again, I'll tell you what I'm doing while I'm doing it. So just for some heads up for numbers, it was just 1 whole bell pepper, just thinly sliced vertically, nice long strips. Because when these cook down and kind of brown up, they're going to add a nice little kind of roasted flavor to the pho. And that's just going to, Now, one of the things about when you introduce foods back into your fast, you don't want to start heavy. Like I'm probably not going to be able to really eat a lot. I'm probably more so just going to focus on drinking the broth and having a few zoodles if I can. Because I mean, it's honestly nice just to get some stuff in the system. But for the most part, you really want to try to ease the body back into it, especially like the longer duration of your fast essentially is, the slower you want to introduce things. So for me, I would say I'm really just going to try to have the veggie broth tonight, tomorrow, with the pho and all that stuff. And then I'm just going to have fruit outside of that. And I'll probably try to eat fruit for the most part of the weekend. I'm going to be very slow introducing like carbs and things like that back into my diet. And I'm going to be starting up a sourdough because I just didn't have the energy while I was water fasting to do it. But I'm going to be starting up a sourdough, like making my first one from scratch. So you guys can join me along on that one too. And that's really what I kind of want to hold off to have for carbs, is just more like the natural stuff. I'm pretty much done eating processed foods. I think one of the most eye-opening experiences I've had on this water fast is just how foul certain things smell. I think I mentioned this, you know, when you get in that ketosis area, you're in that starvation mode, fully kicks in on day 5, your body goes in this kind of like forage mode where you're just really sensitive to things, and stuff like cigarettes, pollution, alcohol. What was the other one? There was one really big one. Oh, and just like artificial flavorings. Like one of them was, technically this is like a twofer. So one of them was like someone vaping, and the other one was, I think, like laundry detergent. Like I walked down like a detergent aisle, and it was so overwhelming for me. And I think that's one of the things that really tripped me out, was just like, I haven't experienced that one before. So I feel like just the sole distilled water on the fast is, oh man, it's a really good way to kind of get that reset for the body. Because again, the most important part isn't the fast itself, it's how you treat your body after the fast. So it's like, just don't go into eating junk food. I know you're hungry and I know you're wanting to eat, but don't just like munch out and just go back into your old eating habits. Because the thing is about the water fast is, it's going to take you like a few days and your body's going to go right back to where you were before the fast. So it's really important you change your lifestyle after these fasts. It's always it's a pivot point. A water fast isn't like a cure-all. It's not like, it is magical in the healing properties and all the physical effects that happen, but it's not something that's meant to just be kind of like a damage control thing. It's not really meant for that. It's meant to kind of reset the body. I do it quarterly for my own spiritual practice. Nice. So these veggies are starting to brown up a little bit more. And with that, oh man, the aroma off this stuff, especially that ginger, smells so good. So one of the things that we're going to do next is, I'm going to add a tablespoon of tomato paste. This is just going to add a little bit of a sweetness, a little bit more acidity. Ooh, actually, before I do that, don't want to mix it up. Oh, hi. I'm actually going to add a little bit of rice vinegar. I'm going to add a tablespoon of that and just kind of let that, 2 tablespoons of that, technically, and let that kind of boil off. And while I add that and let that cook, I'm adding that tablespoon of the tomato paste, and I'm going to be adding a tablespoon of miso. So if you don't know, this is just regular miso. I personally don't really care for the color. I know some people do, but the darker, the more flavor. I think this is just the regular kind of like middle ground, the middle ground miso. And then from here, you're just going to give everything like that a good mix. Now, again, all of this stuff is meant to really just add more of a depth and base of flavor to your pho in veggie broth, whatever you're trying to do. It's like Bob Ross, it's your happy little place. It's what you want to feel. Just make a happy little soup. And those of you that are doing this at home and have done this at home, you can already know that this is going to be bomb ass. Where are we at? 4 minutes to go. Super stoked. Now, since that stuff is all cooking up, what you need to know is the rest of the stuff that's going into it. So the most important thing is that you want to add, again, a nice little color and profile to it. I'm adding, I think, about 10 shiitake mushrooms, another whole white onion thinly sliced, just because that caramelization of the regular onion, it's going to take some of the flavor out and change it. And then I have, you can't see it, it's buried in there, but I have a whole purple carrot sliced up. So it's 1 red bell pepper, 1 purple carrot, 1 onion, and about 10 more shiitake mushrooms thinly sliced. Now I'm just going to dump all that stuff in there. You don't really need to mix it yet. And then from here, oh, this is the big kahuna. So you have 1 bushel of bok choy along with 1 bundle of collard greens. Now, obviously you want to remove the stems from the collard greens, freeze those, you can save them for later. I usually put those in my veggie broth and things like that, but because you're using the bok choy, you don't really need to. Now, what you're going to do is just toss all that stuff on top and just kind of packet that crap down because it's going to get really, really full. And then after that, we're just going to top it off with water, close it up, set it on soup, and you're good to go. But again, for the most part with this water fast, I would just say it's always a good experience to kind of just test yourself. Obviously, you want to do it safe. For my own kind of progression into water fast, I didn't just start off going 7 days. I actually went, I believe, I started off with a day, and then I went 3, and then I went I went a day, and then I went 2, and then I went 4, and then I went the full 7, and then just 7 since then. So again, it's just an opportunity for you to test yourself. Now, one of the reasons why I was sitting down is because, again, that kind of slow motion. So you're going to lose my head a little bit, but I need to kind of push this stuff down. And then from here, once you get this stuff on, you're just going to set it and forget it. Please don't copyright strike me on that one, YouTube. So really just to add it all top off, we're just going to add some water. Now from here, you can turn the saute mode off on your Instapot, and you're going to turn it to soup and set that for 30 minutes. So as you can see, one of the reasons why I'm going to have some fruit is because this isn't going to get done probably until 8 o'clock, which is fine anyway for me. It's just, I'm just having it for the broth, and I'm really just going to munch out on the fruit until then. So I'm going to sit back down so you can see me. We can get a little bit more personal. And as you can hear that sizzling just kind of rumble down. And what's going to happen too is that if you have any caramelization on the bottom of that Instapot, it's all just going to immediately come up. So you're going to want to try to fill to that max line in your Instapot. I got to turn this around so I can see it. Ooh, almost there. Good. And then, yeah, just close it up, let it cook. Now, when you're assembling your pho, I already have these little bits in the fridge, but it's just Thai basil, some bean sprouts, rinse them always, and then jalapeno, if I didn't say that already, might have already said it, and then lime. So I have 2 limes back there just for leftovers. I'll probably just use maybe a quarter or a half in my pho tonight, if that. We'll see. And then toppings, I just like to add a little bit more soy. Speak of the devil. That's the last ingredient I forgot. So you actually want to add a 1/3 cup of soy sauce before you close this up. So good thing I was trying to help you out for your official pho setup. Anyone who's had pho, you know the usuals, what you need. That hoisin, that soy, that oof, delicious. Hoisin, soy, sriracha, chili paste, things like that. Just make it extra tasty. And where'd the lid go? We're just gonna close this up. So we'll see this. I'm trying to close it. What's going on here? Sorry about that. Having some technical. Make sure you don't let any of those leafy greens fall in between there because it won't close if you don't. There we go. Now I think it's 7:01. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let this cook, but you guys can kind of get the look of you can see the look on a face of a man who hasn't eaten in 7 days when he finally has a nice little piece of fruit. Because I've been fiending fruit all week. It's been one of those things where it blows your mind, the little things. So that kiwi, baby. Now, again, you know me. I'm the guy that likes to eat the skins on the kiwi, but because the body and the organs haven't really fully woken up yet, you don't really want to have too much like raw fiber pho and the soup's different. It's very cooked down. It's broken down. It's easier on the digestive tract. But when it comes to fruit and skins and things like that, it's gonna be a rough time if you're trying to eat all that. You're not gonna be able to eat much. So my heart rate just got super amped. That's so funny. My body is just like on the edge, just like, do it, just eat it, mother. Stop talking. Oh, it's juicy. Yo, you have no idea. Oh my God. Mm. Now, one of the things you want to try to do, thoroughly chew. Make it a mush. Mm. Oh my gosh. It almost makes me want to cry. Not gonna lie. Mm. Oh my gosh, that kiwi juice was delicious. Now, that's probably inspired me to tap into that little personal watermelon I got behind me over here. You can't really see it, but man, oh man. Let's go in for another bite. Yo, this has been 168 hours and 3 minutes since I've had food. And and oh my gosh, I'm so happy right now. Mm. Oh my gosh, it gets even better. Well, I don't want to foodgasm for any longer. You guys have seen enough. Well, I'll give you some updates on the Instagram. If you haven't, please check that out. It's in the description. And if you're really interested in zoodles and other really awesome foods that you can make with a spiralizer, check out the description. I have a link for it. This is the one I use. It's so simple, super straightforward. Suction cups, just grinds in. And now, just so you know, if you want the cut that I had, I used the smallest, kind of almost spaghetti spiralizer attachment. And that just, to me, I find that gives you the most like vermicelli, like rice noodle texture. So this has been Peter from Full Spectrum Performance. I hope you have enjoyed this Waterfast journey. It's been an awesome experience, as it always is. And this was the last fast of 2019. My next one's going to be in February. I hope you join me. Practice until then. Honestly, you don't need to go all out and try 7 days at once. Fasting one day a week improves so much about your body. It actually increases your lifespan. It'll help lower your heart rate if you have high blood pressure. No, it'll help lower your blood pressure if you have high blood pressure. It's one of those things where it's going to help heal the stomach. It's going to help heal the GI tract. And most importantly, it's going to give you that time to really just relax and just be present in life. So I think that's one of the most important things, is that when you get so caught up, living in this bodily attachment, you get so caught up, adhering to every little feeling, every little impulse, every little thought the body's having, you really, again, you lose that space and you get really attached to it. So it just kind of controls your life even more. And if you're looking to give it a distance, put that willpower to the test and push that body. Sorry, I need another bite. I couldn't help it. You guys, if you want to realize how much nature already provides us the best foods, go on a water fast. It's going to reset your palate. To me, this is like, it's better than candy. It doesn't have that rich heaviness, but it's sweet. It's just tasty. It's juicy. Oh, oh my gosh. All right, well, I'm going to go eat this and that watermelon. So I hope you enjoyed this little brief veggie broth, veggie pho demo. And ultimately, have a good day. Have a good life. I'll check in with you tomorrow. I'm going to be posting a little bit of like the 10 biggest takeaways from this water fast. So be on the lookout for that. And other than that, love you. Peace. Bye, Instagram.